The following is a presentation of the Arizona Cardinals Broadcast Network.
Detail your work, let's go!
This is Cards HQ. Filling in for Jody Jackson, your host, Lisa Matthews.
Well, the start of the Wilkes era did not go as expected as the Cardinals fall to the Redskins in what was a one-sided affair. Hello everyone, I'm Lisa Matthews and welcome into Cards HQ. Well, Sunday was definitely not the way many imagined to kick off the 2018 season. A new era, a new hope, and even a new name to the nest. First quarter, first Redskins possession, the Cards D bent but didn't break. Dan Buchanan with the heavy pressure on Alex Smith, flagged for intentional grounding, and Redskins punt. Fresh off his contract extension, David Johnson looked great early on, ripping off a 10-yard run and then an 11-yard run in the Cardinals' first possession. But then the struggles began and continued for this defense. Chris Thompson got the Redskins on the board first, capping off an 11-play, 80-yard drive with this catch and run for the touchdown.
Shotgun snap. Smith back to pass, moves to his left, throws left to Thompson, caught at the 10 to the 5. Thompson into the end zone. Touchdown.
Next was former Arizona Cardinal, remember him, Adrian Peterson, walking it in from a yard out to take a 14-0 lead. Now things looked up for a moment. Chandler Jones with a sack. Ball is on the ground, but Smith recovers it, and Jones is flagged for unnecessary roughness. And perhaps the dagger is delivered before we even made it to halftime.
Shotgun snap for Smith. Short set, fires to the right side. What a catch at the 1 by Reed. He stretches out into the end zone for the touchdown.
The struggle was not just the defenses alone. Arizona couldn't get anything going for most of the game offensively. The Cardinals were 1 of 8 on third downs, gained only 213 net yards and 14 first downs. Johnson had trouble finding daylight after the first series of the game, and Sam Bradford was less than sharp in his Arizona debut.
4 receivers set, shotgun snap on second down and long. Bradford throws a deep ball left side, overthrows a receiver, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Dunbar at the 25-yard line.
There's no reason to panic, but this is not okay. It's not acceptable. Everybody has to take a good look in the mirror and kind of point that finger at themselves and their responsibility in this, because when you fail at this level, that's not one person, that's not one position group. Everybody bears some blame in this. So, like I said, we'll get in there tomorrow. We'll figure out exactly what went wrong. We'll be very honest about it with one another, and we'll get it fixed.
We allowed our defense to be on the field far too long, and we got to do a better job of sustaining drives, and it's not the play calling. I mean, we gotta make the plays. We got to execute the assignments, and we got to do a much better job next week against a good football team in LA.
And there's some things that we definitely got to go back and correct, and that's going to start with me. As I told the guys, this one game doesn't define our season. Rather not if we would have won the game, it doesn't define our season. Okay, all right. We're going to continue to work hard, as I mentioned, starting with me, and we'll make these corrections ASAP.
Now get this, a Cardinals head coach has not won in his debut with the franchise dating all the way back to 1979. That was Larry Wilson. But as head coach Steve Wilkes told his team following the loss, one game does not define this team. Now let's get some extra perspective from the guys who called the game on Sunday, their instant analysis in this week's 2-minute drill.
It's time for the Arizona Cardinals 2-minute drill. Dave Pasch and Ron Wolfley. Wolf, I have no idea where to start, so I'll leave that to you, the expert. What happened today?
The line of scrimmage, David, on both sides of the ball. We were talking about it before coming into this game, what a key it was going to be for the Arizona Cardinals. It was critical they were able to run the ball and keep Sam Bradford in a three-dimensional offense where you run it, throw it, and use the power of play action. And also on the defensive side of the ball, just the fact they could not stop the run. That allowed Washington to move the ball, and anytime you're going to move the ball, you have the opportunity of scoring points. It was the line of scrimmage where the Arizona Cardinals lost this game to me.
We've seen before teams struggle in week 1, and it doesn't mean that the season is over. The Cardinals, even in their Super Bowl year, had games where they got blown out, and they still made it all the way to that final game. What has to change between now and when they play the Rams in Los Angeles?
I would say, first of all, David, just gap discipline across the board with their defense. It wasn't good today. That in tackling. Tackling was not good today either. They've got to get a lot better play out of their linebackers as well. I think Josh Bynes and Deone Buchanan, and it wasn't just in the run game, but I think those guys got isolated here today, and they're going to have to pick it up. And I know that Deone, being the dog that he is, he's going to have a bad taste in his mouth till next week.
One thing that surprised me was the inaccuracy of Sam Bradford. Only Drew Brees has been more accurate the last 3 years in the NFL. Maybe it's because it was his first regular season game in almost a year. I'm not sure, but he was off the mark in this ballgame.
Or maybe, David, it was just an anomaly for Sam Bradford. That's obviously what many of us are hoping for. But listen, Bradford is a guy that has been accurate throughout his career. Today, he was not, and he's going to have to pick it up as well.
All right, we know what happens for teams that go to 0-2. Most of them don't make the playoffs, so the Cardinals got to find a way to win in L.A. That'll do it for the Arizona Cardinals 2-minute drill.
Thanks, guys. When we return, we'll go inside the numbers. We'll listen in to running back David Johnson wide for sound in his return to the field. And Craig Grelu and Mike Jurecki join us to talk Rams and the NFC West. All coming up next on Cards HQ.
Cards HQ is brought to you by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM.
The Cardinals off to a shaky start to the 2018 season, but as many echoed in the locker room post-game, they can't let the same mistakes beat them twice. And they certainly cannot this week against the 2017 NFC West champs, the LA Rams. Here's Craig Grelu and Mike Jurecki with an eye on the upcoming opponent and the division outlook heading into Week 2.
Thanks, Lisa. Well, it was not a good first week for the NFC West unless you're the Los Angeles Rams. More on them in a moment. But first, let's talk about San Francisco and Seattle. Both on the road in the season opener, both suffering road losses. And for San Francisco, some history made. Jimmy Garoppolo, his first career loss as San Francisco loses in Minnesota.
Yeah, and listen, John Lynch was very aggressive going after him. He was very successful when he got a chance to play last year, but now there's film out there on him, and I know a lot of people think they can contend for the division. I still think they're a year away, and we'll see if he's the franchise quarterback, the money they gave him.
Garoppolo picked off 3 times, including a pick 6. Overall, 4 turnovers for San Francisco, including a costly fumble when they were inside the 5-yard line.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult because one of their big free agent signings in the offseason was Jarrett McKinnon, and unfortunately he tore his ACL, so now you're going to have to get it done by committee. And then they lost Goodwin as a wide receiver in that game, so we'll see what works out. But again, I still think they're going to have to rely on their defense, and we'll see if Jimmy Garoppolo can carry this team over the next couple of weeks.
For the Seahawks in Denver, a field goal difference between the two teams. We saw Russell Wilson the good, 3 touchdown passes. We also saw Russell Wilson get sacked 6 times, 3 by Von Miller, plus he was picked off a couple of times.
Yeah, and it seems like this has been the MO of the last couple of years, the offensive line. Of course, Tom Cable went to the Raiders. They hired a new offensive line coach with a lot of experience. They changed their blocking scheme. They've added to the mix. I thought their running game would get going with Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, and C.J. Procise, but you got to give Denver a lot of credit. They went out and drafted Bradley Chubb, and they have Von Miller, and those guys are going to win one-on-one matchups. So Wilson, he can be Houdini at times and magical, extending the ball with his legs. But unfortunately, when you put pressure on the quarter like that, it's going to prevent them from scoring.
And there was an injury situation as well for Seattle. Wide receiver Doug Baldwin hurt his knee. Don't know how serious, but that could play a factor for Seattle down the road.
Yeah, very underrated player. And you know, they lose Jimmy Graham in the offseason. He signs with the Packers. You got Tyler Lockett there, Jerron Brown's there. But Baldwin's kind of been the go-to guy when Russell Wilson's been in trouble.
Now let's look at the Rams, this week's opponent for the Cardinals. Of course, the defending division champions. They returned Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, Aaron Donald. But they also added several pieces in the offseason, wide receiver Brandon Cooks. And on the defensive end, well, there's Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah, and they've also went out and got Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters. And Wade Phillips, you know, they let go of Alex Ogletree, which I thought was a really good football player. He was traded to the Giants, but he went in there and told the general manager and the head coach, listen, go out and get me shutdown corners. So they go out and get those 2 guys, and they really played well on Monday night. Now, if you want to nitpick here, I'm not sold on their defensive ends or their linebackers, but when you can get that interior push from Sue and Donald, it makes it a lot difficult for the quarterback there. They like to attack. They tackle well in the open field. This is a sound football team, and Wade Phillips is kind of the head coach of the defense.
And it's going to put a lot of pressure on the Cardinals' offensive line, specifically that interior of the offensive line.
Yeah, if I had to look at one key matchup, it would be the interior, meaning the both guards between Mike Upati and Justin Pugh, and then the rookie Mason Cole against Sue and Donald. And they'll stun a little bit. Obviously, they didn't play the whole game last night. It's their first time playing in the season here, so they didn't play a ton in the preseason. But the Cardinals have their work cut out. You may have to put Bradford in the shotgun. You may have to use the fullback for David Johnson. So this is going to be the key matchup like it was last week. You have to win in the trenches.
The good news for the Cardinals, should they come away with a win in LA on Sunday, they'll be tied for first in the NFC West.
Next up on Cards HQ, running back David Johnson mic'd up in his return. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Cards HQ.
Welcome back, everyone. Lisa Matthews here with you. Now, it's been in the works for quite some time, and on the eve of the season opener, the deal was done. The Cardinals locked down their star running back David Johnson on a 3-year extension with the team through 2021. And now all the focus turns to on the field as Johnson made his return on Sunday. Take a listen.
Let's go. Feel good, man. Good to be back. Time to show up. Let's go, man. Hey, mic'd up. Mic'd up. Mic'd up. Mic'd up. Mic'd up. Hey, let's dominate. Good luck, everybody. Right away. Let's dominate right away. Playmakers on 3. 1, 2, 3. Playmakers. Good luck, baby. Raise hell today, baby. Bradford, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, let's have a day. Let's show up. Let's show up.
That ball should have came right up inside of him, but you couldn't because somebody came clean on the backside. We got to clean up those little things and give them execution. It takes all 10 men in the run game to make it work. One guy break down, it's that right there.
So unfortunately, David Johnson was unable to celebrate his contract extension with a victory. He did, though, however, find the end zone for the Cardinals' only points against Washington. For more analysis on Sunday's loss and a look ahead to the high-scoring Rams, we go inside the numbers presented by La Mesa RV.
Sunday's loss to the Redskins was, statistically, as bad as it felt. The visitors did most of their damage in the second quarter, outgaining Arizona 156-4 and 14 first downs to 0, while scoring 21 points. Washington quarterback Alex Smith was 13 of 13 passing in that quarter. For the game, the Redskins had 30 first downs to the Cardinals' 14. 7 of Washington's first downs came via penalties. Third down was a problem for Arizona on both sides of the ball, but especially poor offensively, converting only 1 of its 8 chances. Arizona's defense was undone in large part to Redskins running backs Adrian Peterson and Chris Thompson. The two combined for 182 yards and a touchdown on the ground and 133 yards receiving and a touchdown through the air. Special teams was perhaps the one phase of the game Arizona held an advantage, with punter Andy Lee averaging almost 53 yards per punt, and rookie Christian Kirk narrowly missing taking one to the house with his 44-yard punt return. Receiver Larry Fitzgerald finished the game with 7 receptions for 76 yards, his 212th consecutive game with a catch, the second longest streak in NFL history behind Jerry Rice. The streak began in Week 9 of his rookie season in Miami against the Dolphins. Running back David Johnson's 34th career touchdown came in his 34th game. Only 6 players in NFL history had more touchdowns through that many games, 4 of which are in the Hall of Fame. This Sunday, the Cardinals face the defending NFC West champion Los Angeles Rams. In 4 career games against the Rams, Johnson has averaged 4.4 yards per rush and caught 13 passes with 2 touchdown receptions. His counterpart, Todd Gurley, has rushed for 440 yards with a touchdown and caught 21 passes in 6 career games against the Cards. Chandler Jones has enjoyed success against Los Angeles with at least a sack in every one of his 4 career games chasing Rams quarterbacks. Quarterback Sam Bradford, picked first overall in the 2010 draft, will face the team that drafted him for the very first time.
What's a team to do when you face adversity? You turn to your leaders. And our Paul Calvisi talked with one of the Cards' veteran leaders, safety Antoine Bethea, in the locker room when the emotions of the frustrating afternoon were still raw.
You know, Coach said before this one, expect the unexpected, right? And a lot of this was going to be about in-game adjustments. How much of that did you have to do in this game, and how much, with Alex Smith, his first regular season game, how much of that was brand new and maybe took the defense by surprise at times?
No, we wasn't surprised at all. We knew what we was going to get. We knew we was going to get some run play options. We knew they was going to feature Adrian in the run game. We knew he wasn't going to force the ball. So, and that's what they did. It was just situations where we weren't successful on first down. So obviously, D coordinators in a tough position, second and short, what type of plays to call. So we didn't help ourselves at all this game.
182 yards rushing by Washington. How much of that was gap integrity? Because we heard that after the New Orleans game. Was that still an issue?
Yeah, I think today was. And then just being honest, we wasn't playing downhill. We wasn't keeping our gaps. We didn't tackle well. All the things that we said that we needed to do to be a dominant defense. So obviously, we got to go back to the drawing board. It's one game. We can't panic, man. We got 15 games left, but it's not the way we wanted to start. But like Coach just said, we're not going to let this one game define our season.
17 takeaways in those 4 preseason games. You didn't get one to the very end. What does that tell you about this game?
Get more takeaways. Like I said, it wasn't the outing that we wanted, but like I said, we can't get too crazy. Not right now. Like I said, go back to the drawing board. In the preseason, we did do a great job getting takeaways. We only got 1 today, so we just got to continue to keep working at it, and hopefully next week and games down the road we'll be better.
Do you see this one coming at all?
Of course not. I feel as though we had a great preseason. Practice this week was solid. So definitely didn't see it. But, like Coach said, it's going to be some turbulence. It's going to be some unexpected things. We didn't think it was going to come to this first week here in the Nest, but it did. And shoot, man, I've been in this league a long time, man. We can turn this thing around.
Wrapping it up with Antoine Bethea, we know it's a new defense, a lot of new zone coverages, some new concepts. Is there still a learning curve that we saw out there?
Nah, man, we can't make any excuses. We can't make any excuses. We got to play better. That's it.
So as a team captain, what's your message, especially to the secondary?
Man, buckle down. This is not the type of defense that we want to put on film. That's one thing I was saying to the guys. Like, let's put it on film. This is not what we want to put on film. So we watch the film tomorrow, put it behind us, man. Get ready for the Chargers next week.
Because if there's one thing you know for sure in the NFL, if you don't stop it, you will see it again, right?
Exactly. So we're gonna get a dose of that run play, that run game next week. We gotta, like I said, we gotta tackle better, gap integrity, and we'll be fine.
Okay.
Coming up, Paul Calvisi has the news and notes as the Cardinals reset before heading to LA. It's cleanup time and back to fundamentals for the Arizona Cardinals. Too many misfires, missed tackles, and mental errors haunted the tape. Our Paul Calvisi gives us some perspective inside the locker room on how the guys are turning the page and preparing for their first road test of the season.
Yeah, before you can fix it, you got to diagnose it. How did that Week 1 loss happen, and why?
Looking at the film, there was nothing glaring, nothing major, just, a lot of small mistakes here and there that kind of added up to the performance that it did.
Against the Redskins, it was subtraction by addition. As the mistakes piled up, the Cardinals got down.
We got to generate some positive plays early on in the game, you know, and sustain some drives a little bit. Same thing on the defensive side of the ball. We got to make sure that we 3 and out to get the ball back to the offense.
At Wednesday's practice, it was John Wetzel getting reps at right tackle as the starter Andre Smith is still day-to-day with the elbow. But changes go beyond the players.
Today I said, you know what, let's go inside. I want to make sure that we have a great level of focus. You know, the guys can concentrate. We can get the communication. We have the crowd noise inside.
One other point of emphasis, doing something about the fact that every receiver not named Larry Fitzgerald combined for 1 catch.
Yeah, we got to spread the ball around a little bit. I think those other guys are more than capable of making plays, and we got to spread it around.
Game plan wise to maybe, you know, just get them going a little bit, you know, some easy completions.
One of the best parts of practice, a Marcus Golden sighting coming off the knee injury, limited but literally taking that first step back onto the practice field.
One day at a time, but it felt good to just get out there today with him, man, and we're going to get this thing rolling and start fixing things around here.
Miss his energy, his enthusiasm, so I can't wait to get him out there full time.
And, of course, Marcus Golden specializes in sacking the quarterbacks. Same deal with the Rams' vaunted defensive line, you know, Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh. We'll leave you with Sam Bradford telling the media politely, yeah, I'm well aware.
I get it. I think everyone wants to hit me. You know, I think that's kind of how it goes, so I don't think I really think too much more about it than any other week.
Thanks, Paul. Now, there's still a lot of football to be played, and following the loss on Sunday, wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald said the only thing that's guaranteed is we're not going 16-0. Time for corrections to be made in a big trip to LA against a dominant division foe. We'll see how this 2018 team responds. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Lisa Matthews for Cards HQ.